What's up, YouTube? We're at one of Jerica's favorite places, Nosh. They have multiple locations. Check them out online. We're asking a favor of you. Do you know what we're asking?
Like, comment, and
subscribe.
There you go.
I didn't tell her we were doing this. It's more fun when I mess her up like that. Thank y'all for helping us build our platform. Y'all have a great life.
Hey guys, this is Jerica and Candace. We are doing Tea Time with Jerica today at Nosh and More. If you haven't been there, you might want to try it out. We are going to have a sit down with one of my referral partners and good friends that does an excellent job in her field, and so just wanted to ask her a few questions and bring you guys along for the ride. Hey Candace, how are you?
Good, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Nobody even knows what you do yet, but just tell us a little bit about yourself before we get going.
My name's Candace Cunningham, and I am an agent for Shelter Insurance. And falling into the insurance world was kind of a weird deal. I came off of active duty Navy. I was in the Navy for 9.5 years on active duty, and then I did some reserve time. I was completing some schooling. I thought I was headed to a law degree until I figured out exactly how much politics is involved in law.
Okay.
And so decided that wasn't a route that I wanted to go. I got an interim job with a shelter agent, and I worked for that shelter agent for 6 years. And then I was able to take over my own agency almost 5 years ago.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's been that long.
I know.
It seems like maybe 2 years.
No, I've been in the insurance world with Shelter for August will be 11 years.
That's awesome.
I really love this company. It's a very people-first company. We don't have a lot of... Our claims department is right here in Edmond and in Tulsa. So
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So if you have a claim, there's someone that lives here, works here, breathes here, that's going to show up on, unfortunately, sometimes one of your worst days and help you get your claim going and get you back to put to whole again is our goal.
That's awesome. I don't know of any other companies that have them local. Do they?
I'm not 100% certain. Okay. I know that the industry has kind of taken a turn to going to independent adjusters, but our adjusters are employees of Shelter Insurance, and they're trained by us, and they're trained to read into the policy and make sure that we can make somebody whole again when they have a claim.
That's really cool. I know in our industry it's important for people to be local.
Yeah,
it makes a huge difference.
It is. It's a big difference. And then being in the Navy, I was a parachute rigger, so my technical title was Air Crew Survival Equipmentman. So I was literally in charge of making sure that all of the safety equipment for a pilot or an air crewman was of serviceable order, and would be able to provide the function that it's designed for in the event of an emergency egress. So our motto in the Navy literally was last to let you down, because if you had to egress out of the aircraft, you're using a parachute or you're using a flotation device if it's over water and stuff to literally save your life and preserve that life. So getting into insurance was a bit natural for me. It really satisfies my legal mind. Insurance is contract law. So we agree to the terms of the policy, you pay a premium for that, and then we execute our promise when the time comes. And so it's the same thing as being in the Navy and being a parachute rigger. When your worst day happens, I show up, and hopefully we have made that contract to where you're going to be placed whole again. And that's always my goal, is to make sure that individuals carry enough coverage to make sure that if disaster strikes, we can make you whole again. We rebuild your house if it's a fire. We rebuild your house if a tornado is taking you out. We pay the financial responsibility if you're in a car accident and you cause somebody else's property damage or personal injury. So there's a lot of things that correlate with my Navy job, and that's how I do my job every day with every individual client. We're going to do the best we can to make you whole again, and I'll be the last to let you down.
That makes a lot of sense. I've never heard you say that before. That's intriguing. It's a different industry, same type work. Yeah,
right.
Same kind of thought process behind it. So out of all of your options, why did you choose Shelter?
It's a people first company. It's very much, everything's getting so big these days, and the internet is taking over, and there's a lot of DIY shops out there that people can try to go online and get their own coverage. But at the end of the day, I used to be just your typical consumer. I've said in my life, I just need state minimums, or I need full coverage, which does not exist. But now I know better. And why? Because I've gone through the training, I am state licensed, and now I know better. So now I take that information and take it to my clients. And with each individual person, it's an individual approach. Insurance is not one size fits all. So being with Shelter Insurance, we're consistently receiving J.D. Power awards, and we were just listed as, for 2024, Forbes #1 auto insurance carrier, which is a huge honor because it's so competitive out there. So, and that, I believe, is a true testament to the fact that we are very people focused. I talk to the same underwriter every single day. I talk to, if something's going on with the claim, I have the claims adjuster's phone number, and I can be an advocate for that client if need be, or bridge the gap when there might be a miscommunication or something like that. So I greatly appreciate that I have the opportunity to do that, because a lot of people in other companies, I don't believe, have that same benefit, and I truly believe it's a benefit.
Yeah, I agree. So talk a little bit, because I certainly have heard the term full coverage a lot in my life. So talk about what people probably mean when they say that versus reality of it.
Right. It's really disappointing because words are important. Words are important in so many different facets, but especially when we're talking about contract law and when we're talking about what this is actually going to provide for somebody. So I call it an insurance agent's cuss word. Like, don't throw the F word at me, please, because it doesn't exist. And then you have to teach them. And so in my mind, if you come at me wanting full coverage, what the normal consumer is expecting is comp and collision coverage. So for an auto policy, if you're involved in an accident, or if you've hit a deer, or there's a hailstorm, comp or collision would kick in to make the repairs to the vehicle, help you make the repairs to the vehicle. But so that's what a layman, I believe, means when they say full coverage. But when you're talking to an insurance agent, that words, again, are really important. Full coverage means a whole laundry list of things that are additional coverages on policies, and truly you'll never achieve full coverage because you wouldn't, even if it existed, it would be really expensive. So it's just a blanket term that I think, I've even heard it come out of lenders' mouths, and we just need to make sure that this auto policy has full coverage insurance. No such thing, but what you're asking for is comp and collision. So if the car's damaged, it can be repaired.
Yeah.
So,
well, insurance is there to help put you back where you were before the accident, or before, not necessarily to make you rich or whatever.
Yeah, we want to make you whole again, but that does not mean that you're going to be cash positive. And that's, the other thing that I tell people. So yeah, you just don't. We're going to make you whole again. We're going to fulfill that promise, and within our contract that you agreed to, that you pay monthly premiums for, to the extent of that, that's what we're going to do.
So Bear with me. Can't read your writing, babe.
Can't tell. Is that a 7 or a 9? 5, idiot. In what moon man language is that a 5?
So let's talk about, we talked a little bit about one of the myths already, the full coverage term that gets thrown around loosely. Another one that we can maybe talk about is people say a lot of times insurance companies don't want to pay claims. Talk about that a little bit.
In my experience, that's not the case. That's why we're here. I mean, we collect a premium and we make a promise via the contract that if these conditions are met, then this is how we will perform. So as far as companies not wanting to pay claims or looking for ways not to pay a claim, it's just a false statement. People are upset, something drastic has happened, and maybe at the time they made a choice of carrying a lesser coverage because of finances. Maybe they chose to carry an actual cash value roof policy payout because at the time it was the least expensive option and that's what they were looking for at the time. And then when it comes claim time, they don't really understand what happened. And so I don't necessarily think it's insurance companies don't want to pay. Mm-hmm. It's we have to pay in accordance with what the contract states. Mm-hmm. And there's so many different levels of coverage that you can purchase. And that's why it's important to have an agent, a person, explain it to you. I think a lot of times if there were to be a study done on it, I think a lot of the times when people complain about, oh, the insurance company just doesn't want to pay, I think they've done that DIY coverage online themselves without guidance of a licensed professional. We carry a license for a reason. You don't go to doityourselfdentistry.com to get a filling filled. You know, you go to a trained, licensed professional for it. And I think that's where the general public has gone to, oh, I can do this myself, or I can get it done less for here. And it's just, I understand that dollars and cents are important at the end of the day, but at the end of the day also, those dollars, you get exactly what you pay for. So if you want the cheapest coverage possible, it's not potentially going to cover a lot. So the whole insurance equals cheap is not a great method to make sure that you're properly covered.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even in real estate, I advise my clients a lot not to, just look at price. Price is not the determining factor, in my opinion, of who you should go with, because I mean, I've just had experiences with clients that did do that, and then when it comes claim time, they can't even be put back to whole again.
Right.
And so
that's why I've always appreciated our relationship, because you do make insurance a priority to talk about. When people are shopping for a new home, they should always be checking with their agent, what is this property going to cost, because the purchase price versus reconstruction cost are always different. It's rarely ever the same. So, your purchase price takes into account things like the school district and parks and walkability and so many different things for your purchase price. But when an insurance company is looking at it, we're looking at how much it's going to cost to rebuild it. Reconstruction is always more expensive because in that cost is demolition and haul off and labor and everything else. So it's really important to make sure that you can afford to insure what you're purchasing. And so I've always appreciated that about you, because you make it a forefront of a conversation. You're not waiting until the last minute. All too often, unfortunately, I've seen deals bust because they couldn't find insurance that stayed in this little dollar range that who knows who would set for them.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if you can't afford the insurance, that's going to put you back to whole whenever you do have an unfortunate situation come about, whether it be fire, tornado, whatever it is, theft, anything.
Right.
It's just it's not worth it. You can't afford the house if you can't afford the insurance, in my opinion. There's too many people out there that just price shop
every day,
just because it makes a pretty big impact on your closing costs as well. So, well, Well, talk a little bit, in my opinion, because I have been in insurance before. The agent is a massive part of the value of who you go with. So talk a little bit. Is it important for your agent to be somebody, or does it matter? I mean, can they just call the 800 number and get served just as well? Does that agent, who you pick as your agent, does that matter?
Without sounding biased, I of course believe that the agent matters. I believe that I run my agency as a relationship type building situation. You're not just a policy number to me. You're a person, you're a family, you're a growing family, you're a small business, and you have to be able to have a trusting conversation with your insurance agent so that your insurance agent can make sure that you're properly aware of all of your risk. And then between you and the agent, you decide, a consumer would decide how much risk to transfer to the insurance company with that agent. So I believe that having an agent is of utmost importance. In my agency, for my clients, I do annual reviews. And so a lot of people tend to get their insurance and set it and forget it. And I don't let you set it and forget it. We're not going to forget what your deductible is. We're not going to forget what your coverage amount is. We're going to ensure that you are properly covered. So being overinsured is not a good thing, and definitely being underinsured is not a good thing. So annually reviewing that with an agent is of utmost importance. Sometimes people add on a whole wing to their house within a year time span. Right. So if you don't account for that, and then a claim happens, there's going to be a little bit of unrest there because we didn't know about it when we wrote that policy. So, and then I believe having an agent adds in a lot of value, because again, it's one person that you get to call. When people call my office, it's Candace that they talk to. I know exactly who you are. I know what your situation is, and I'll be able to advise you appropriately. When you call a DIY company, they don't know who you are. They might not even live in the same state. They may not even live in the same country. And you're trying to get advice or recommendations, and it falls flat, and I believe leaves huge gaps.
Yeah. I mean, I've been out of the business for a while, the insurance business. But even for me, and I have maybe a larger understanding of insurance and how it works than your typical person, just because I worked in it. But even for me, I forget what coverages I have or what gaps I may have. You just live life and you don't realize. So I love that you do the reviews, annual reviews, and stick to that, because even me, I forget what I have. And then when it comes claim time, that's not when you want to learn those things.
Right.
So
a lot of companies too, with the shifting landscape of costs of everything, a lot of companies have put new underwriting requirements in place, have put new deductibles in place that are required. And when you receive your renewal, 99% of the information is there if you read it. But a lot of people do not read it. So there's a lot of people that I sit down with and review their current coverages, and they didn't realize that they have a really high percentage wind and hail deductible. And they're like, what? And so if they have historical documents, we can kind of go back and pinpoint when that happened. Sometimes they're like, oh yeah, I remember that. But a lot of times they're like, I didn't even know that was a thing. So that's why annual reviews are really important and a critical piece to make sure that you understand what's going on with your coverage.
A reminder of what you have so that your expectations are properly set too when you do have a claim. But anything else I haven't covered that would be important to know, the public to know, or might be interesting?
No, I greatly appreciate my position. I love being a small business owner. A lot of people don't think of insurance agents as small business owners either, but I am a small business owner. So every client that I have, I'm greatly appreciative for, and I appreciate being able to be their advisor, their advocate if need be, so
therapist at times.
Some of the things that I know is surprising.
I've always wanted to be a bartender. It's just like being a therapist. You listen to people's problems, pretend to care, but you can drink openly instead of having to hide your booze in a coffee mug.
And sometimes it's just an ear. And those moments in this world where everything is so busy and run. You know, this afternoon I have an appointment with one of my clients who's an old retired veteran, and honestly, he'll probably be in my office for 2 hours, and we'll talk about insurance for 5 minutes, and the rest is just what's going on and, you know, life and things of that nature. So I appreciate being people's confidant at times and, you know, just being trusted with. I mean, your home is one of your most prized possessions next to your life. Life insurance is a huge piece of what I do as well. It's another conversation, but you know, next to your life and your family's life, it's your home. It's the car that you depend on to get you back and forth to work and do your job with sometimes. And so there's so many different things that having the appropriate coverage is so important. And I understand that at the end of the day, the price is, you know, important as well. But you have to be able to see the value behind the price tag sometimes.
Yeah, I remember you talking about one time one of your clients had some sort of loss. I don't remember if it was a fire or what, but you knew about it right away and went out there to their house to check on them.
Yes.
That you just don't see that anymore, like anywhere anymore. So that's something I really appreciate, and that's one of the reasons why I choose you a lot to help my clients, because I know that whenever I send somebody to you, that you're going to take care of them, and they're not going to get caught in a situation where they're underinsured unless they choose to do that.
Right.
Because you pay attention to all that. Even like renewals and things like that, you're still paying attention to those clients, and that's super important. It's not just whenever you first purchase the insurance, like, because things change, and you're very good at letting people know, like, those changes, or if they have life changes, you call them and let them know, hey, we need to do whatever to get the insurance up to par. So
I greatly appreciate our relationship, and like I said, you're one of my favorite realtors in that sense, because you know, your previous experience helps, but insurance does need to be a first step conversation in the process of purchasing a home.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you meeting today.
Thank you.
And having a little tea with Jerica. And hopefully this is helpful to anyone that's out there. If you want to get a hold of Candace, we're going to drop that below. But she would be a great agent to look at your coverages. And first of all, make sure you have the right coverages and see if she'd be a good fit for you. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.